Morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever, whatever part of the world you are. Extending a green morning, green afternoon, and green evening to everyone world over. It's such a pleasure to have all of you. It's a Sunday, and this is the third webinar on Sunday since morning when we all are meeting. We had the first webinar at 9:30, second webinar at 12:30, and now it is 5 p.m. Indian Standard Time. And then you will have yet another one webinar at 7 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So all our brothers and sisters, we want to accommodate all of you, and depending on your interest, depending on your aptitude, depending on your inclination, we try and reach you world over. Wherever it's night in different continents, let them sleep and dream about this particular webinar. But those are awake and alive, you can enjoy this particular webinar, which is 83rd webinar, Making Education Relevant, India-ASEAN Joint Series, what we are working out. And this evening at 5 p.m. from India, when we talk about this particular program, it's very early morning and my people are up in different parts of Canada, United States, and also in Latin America at different places. Those are part of our chamber. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ahead of somewhere near lunch as far as Europe is concerned. And Dr. Barbara Maas from London, I should say Guildford, because you always prefer that I should call you from the exact place. So all our brothers and sisters, those are joining from the Europe, hearty welcome to you near your lunch or at the lunch or post lunch or whatever it is there. And coming to India, then it is about almost 3 minutes past 5 p.m. on Sunday evening, that is 9th of August. From here, let me go to Central Asia, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, and coming to South Asia as well. We are in Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and Maldives. Great welcome to all of you. And from India, let me take you now to a wonderful destination called Southeast Asia. Nowadays, everybody knows it as ASEAN, most peaceful, progressive, prosperity, and the growth region. When I talk about 650 million plus population, 10 different countries. When I talk about Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Indonesia, Philippines, Vietnam, and Brunei. When I talk about 10 beautiful countries and wonderful people, progressive people, and I know at this point of time, Vietnam is running. It's not moving, it's running. That is the way the things are. And during this during this pandemic, everybody is trying to catch up and match up wherever it's possible. So ladies and gentlemen, take care of your health, take care of your wellness, do some yoga, do some meditation, do some naturopathy, eat healthy food, live healthy, and the most important is think positive and think healthy. Now, let me go a little far because it's going to be a night before you sleep. I know Dr. Batta, Dr. Chug, and Robert Inbakaran, and all my friends, those are in Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji. I know it's going to be a night time for you. You got to sleep after some time. So we are together for a short while. After this particular webinar, you can go to sleep. You can skip the next one, no problems. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, very hearty welcome to my distinguished guests this evening. Those are joining me. I will introduce them to you in a little while, and it should be something like film stars, like it happens in Bollywood and Hollywood. I will introduce them in a proper fashion like the anchors do. But at the same time, let me also extend very warm welcome to all the people. My immediate past president, Mr. Karan Singh Thakral, has joined this particular program from Singapore. And my present president, Professor Pontrip Narula, is, he's with us from Bangkok. And Dato Ramesh Kodamalji is with us, who is the co-chairman of the ASEAN India Business Council from Malaysia. So I extend them a very warm welcome, and some other dignitaries, all my brothers and sisters, a great salutations to all of you. Let me share some slides with you, because those joined for the first time, let them know why this webinar, What is the purpose of this webinar? Why are you getting people on Sunday evening for this webinar? And what have you done so far and what have you achieved out of this webinar? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about that, let me share with you, this is the new education policy which has come in India. Our heartiest congratulations to Honorable Prime Minister of India, Education Minister of India, and all the cabinet ministers, those have supported and those have given the vision. And at the same time, the entire education fraternity, the people, those are working in the Ministry of Education. It was earlier known as Ministry of HRD, now it's known as Ministry of Education. So when we talk about it, there are major reforms, and after 34 years, India is seeing the new education policy, and this particular policy which is coming is going to bring a phenomenal, such a change into the entire pedagogy and creativity into the education system. From school education, I moved to the higher education. This particular national education policy, day before yesterday, the Honorable Prime Minister addressed all the stakeholders of education and he gave his vision. What are we going to do? Local to global, global to local, and how the world is changing, what all is going to happen with the new education policy, and how research, innovation, creativity, collaboration, technology, coding, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, blockchain, Internet of Things, what all role education is going to play, and how there is going to be a confluence of the best intellectual capital from the world over with this new education policy. And the government of India would be spending 6% of the GDP on education now, which is again a great dimension. So our regards to Honorable Shri Ramesh, that is Dr. Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank ji, who is a part of this particular program, for giving India this new education policy. And I'm also grateful to all the officers from the Ministry of Education, those are watching this particular program and those are part of this particular program. I'm grateful to all of you for having joined us this evening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, thinks that India has to become self-reliant. And for self-reliant, the education plays a very important role. And of course, education, collaboration, everything we have to take into consideration. Our chamber since 1994. Since 1994, we are reaching out the non-resident Indians world over, wherever they are, and we are a link between India and 30 million non-resident Indians world over, irrespective whether they are working for someone or they have got their own job, but whatever they are doing, but we are focusing on services sector. Economy has got three areas: agriculture, manufacturing, and services. And we focus on services sector. And during this pandemic coronavirus, we are focusing on education, skills, competencies, and digital literacy the best possible way. We all understand during this lockdown, the thought processes are affected, business is affected, physical and mental health is affected, and main part of the universe, that is education, is deeply affected. As far as UNESCO is concerned, if you get their dimensions, 1.6 billion children, youth, and roughly half of the world's students' population are at present away from their schools, colleges, and universities, because their safety is very important. But from India, we always believe there should be one world, one love, and one family, all of us together. Your pain is our pain and our pleasure is your pleasure. That is the way we got to take care of. So global education collaboration. There is no other area in this universe which can bring a global peace and prosperity than to empower the education. Education, collaboration, education, connectivity, a research, joint innovations, faculty exchange, student exchange, whatever we can think of, everything related to education. Keeping that in mind, every evening, Monday to Friday, 7 to 8 p.m., we share the thought processes with you, and we get the experts, and we get new pedagogy and andragogy and the new innovations and research related to education, whether a school education or higher education. Now, we started this journey on 5th of June. Why 5th of June? Because 5th of June by United Nations is a World Environment Day. And when you talk about World Environment Day, everybody is talking about global warming, everybody is talking about climate change, and all the research which we have gathered, our chamber has gathered from world over, we are finding it that the next misunderstanding world over is going to be on the water crisis and particularly water consumption. Some of the countries will block the water by constructing dams, and some of them will open the dams and the floodgates whenever they want to give you tough time. So water conservation in your own residence, in your own way, when the children are with parents at this point of time, let's take care of it. So Monday to Friday is over, then comes Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning at 9:30 a.m., we have got 500 million plus people world over those are following Buddhism. So what is the relevance of Buddha's teaching in today's education? So this particular program comes every Saturday morning at 9:30. I'm grateful to the Honorable Secretary General, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya from the International Buddhist Confederation, who is getting all the stakeholders from the world together on a common platform. Then comes Saturday evening. Like yesterday evening, we get you wellness therapies, yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, with that nutrition, good food, healthy thinking, positive thinking. Yesterday's deliberations were so good that it lasted for 2.5 hours, where we discussed about anti-stress, anti-anxiety, and anti-depression. Because at present, children are locked with their parents at home, so parents are having tough time. And it was a laughing matter when some of the principals, when I spoke to and I discussed with them, they told me, we are not principals now. I said, why? You are the principal of school and college. They said, no, we are not principal. I said, why? They say, because our teachers are imparting education digital way, and parents are principal. They are watching what is being taught and which way it is being taught. So they are the ones those are monitoring the whole process. So ladies and gentlemen, then comes Sunday morning, and we talk Sunday morning at 9:30 right from United States, from the Woodbury University, Burbank. Every Sunday morning, 9:30, Professor Satyendra Dhiman comes and we discuss with you with regard to especially what are the Indian ancient civilization, what happened 5,000 years back, what was Nalanda residential first global university, what was Takshila, what was happening when 10,000 youth were taking education here, when you had 2,000 educators. And of course, this is the program now which we are having at 5 p.m. India-ASEAN. And after this at 7 p.m., we will be having micro, small and medium enterprises, because I'm so grateful to the government of India. We have been walking the corridors of the Ministry of MSME good about 3 years. And the Honorable Secretary, Additional Secretary, and all the stakeholders, they were so kind. All the roadmaps, action plan, blueprints, white papers, whatever our chamber gave to Government of India, to the Ministry of MSME those 3 years, they were incorporated, they were taken into consideration, and I'm so happy the day Honorable Prime Minister declared and announced the relief package. That day, the Honorable Finance Minister of India, Shrimati Nirmala Sita Ramanji, she made a mention and she told now the manufacturing and services are at par. So we had a great soothing, because earlier we always focused on manufacturing sector, but now the services sector is also given total weightage. Ladies and gentlemen, world over, wherever you are, as you have joined us, and most of you prefer to come on a Facebook. I have not understood. You don't enjoy logging in for the webinar. You always say, oh, I'll come on Facebook. I'll open my watch party. All my advisors, all my presidents, whomsoever I request, they say, why to take a trouble to log in? We are getting into the digital arena, but in a different mode. Everybody wants to come on a Facebook or YouTube. So anyway, even if you are on the Facebook Live, Dr. Gulshan Sharma's page, open your watch party. What I wish to share, this program is having a live telecast at this point of time. People can watch us right on the Facebook Live, Dr. Gulshan Sharma's page. At the same time, I wish to share with all of you that 12th of August is a very important day. It's a World Youth Day. The future belongs to millennials. Future belongs to youth. I, at the age of 70, but however, I feel I'm only 20 years old. Why should I think that's the biological clock? Let Sandeep Majumdar think I'm 70-year-old. I don't want to think about it. Let it come from the chamber head from Cambodia, not from my side. So when I think I'm 20 years old, I'm a part of this World Youth Day. And we are going to have a program 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. non-stop. World over, the people are joining us on this particular day, and it's going to be a celebration and jubilation and congratulation and thought process and podlocking and confluence of the information and creativity of every child we are getting together. We are making it such an interesting, whether you are in school, you are in college, you are hanging in between school and college, your exams have not taken place because of the COVID, nothing to worry. Come over here, we all will enjoy it together. So ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, and down below we have written, think positive. If you remain positive, nothing can disturb you. No corona can come. It will just pass through. It will go back where from it has come. Nothing to worry at all. So don't forget to join us on 12th of August. Now, since 25th of March till 31st of July, our chamber research, which has been carried out world over, they have given us the new norm of the world. And that stands for, earlier we were telling B2B is business to business. Please understand, now it will be termed as back to basics. It is no more business to business. It's a back to basics. And when you talk about back to basics, the first part is take care of your food. You must grow your own vegetable in your kitchen garden and rooftop. I'm so happy that I'm getting fresh organic vegetable every day from my rooftop. I'm getting from my kitchen garden. And I have started understanding how to grow vegetables in last 4.5 months. That is the way you all have to understand. And if children are having theoretical knowledge and they are doing masters in animal husbandry and they do not know how to cow the milk, then I think we got to bring change in our education, pedagogy. Everything has to be practical. Children do not know which particular season, which crop is being grown. So what is the use of that such a course? Somebody is doing a finance management, but he doesn't know how to open an account with the bank. What is mutual fund? What exactly is the bank's operation? So no theoretical. Okay, second part. Health and wellness is very important for all of us. Please take care of your health. Physically and mentally, you got to remain strong. And third part, I got to laugh with all the teachers and the principals world over. You got to smile. Even if you don't want to smile, you have to smile. Even if you're not happy, you got to be happy. You will not be able to get back to the classroom the way it used to be in January and February. What has come, it was to come after 5-6 years. It has come before time. And if you start preparing before time, there is no escape route. We got to get into digital education and we got to get into e-learning. That means flip learning and blended learning. Any name you can give it, whatever you want. And there's a new concept which will come. It's coming to India also. Earn and learn. That means like it happens in Europe, like it happens in America, like it happens in Canada, like it happens in other countries. The children are studying also, but they're doing part-time job also. Every child has to become responsible now. You've got to take up a part-time job. It's not only your parents' responsibility to provide you everything and you just enjoy, and you say that I'm studying. No, you've got to share the responsibility with your parents now. So ladies and gentlemen, B2B is now back to basics. This is the last slide. The mental faculty is moving. And when my mental cerebrum is moving, our chamber has got something to share with all of you. Whatever human mind can conceive and believe, You got to conceive the idea and you got to believe in the idea. If you conceive the idea and if you believe in your idea, you can achieve your idea. Nobody can stop you in this world. The universe has given you so much of power and so much of energy. Anything is achievable in this world, and all power is within you. You've got to understand that. So let's come together, making education relevant. When this evening we are talking about India ASEAN, why children should go to Canada, why children should go to USA, why children should go to Latin America or Australia and other places, why can't India and ASEAN can get further closer with each other, and there can be so much of joint operation and joint work and joint business and joint education. Why can't we think about that? Making education relevant, because the entire globe rests, entire peace and prosperity rests, making education relevant. So it's a global confluence of educators, motivators, technocrats, counselors, and stakeholders in the corporate sector. International Chamber for Service Industry extends you a very warm welcome. Should you wish to be a panelist or you want to give any suggestions, you can send at innovation@icsi.asia. You can also send a WhatsApp to us. You're more than welcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I was sharing with all of you, like it happens in Bollywood, let me also, I know doctors, nurses, paramedical people, they all are warriors and they're doing great job. But during this particular pandemic, coronavirus, anybody who's empowering the humanity, they all are warriors. Everybody is a warrior who is doing good to help others. So, like it happens in a Bollywood, and the anchor extends a hearty welcome to the dignitaries, let me also extend a very warm welcome, and right from the bottom of my heart, this evening, these are the celebrities, those are going to share their thought process, their vision, and innovative strategies, how India and ASEAN can work together. We have got Mr. Rami Sharaf. He's a senior vice president, the Royal Group from Cambodia. He has a vast executive experience in Cambodian and regional, that is when you call about the conglomerates. Former governor at AmCham, elected twice on the board of IBC. Founder of Cambodia Automotive Industry Federation and is chairman for 5 years. Before coming to Asia 11 years back, Ramiji was CEO of Novo Nordisk in Pakistan and Iraq. We extend him a very hearty welcome. It was a pleasure to meet him initially at the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India program at Noida, where he was with the Cambodian delegation, and thereafter, of course, I met him with Mr. Sandeep Majumdar and others. A very hearty welcome to Mr. Rami Sharaf this evening. We have been joined by Mr. Mohan Ramesh Anand. What a beautiful name he has got. Mohan is from the Lord Krishna. Anand means you got to be happy all the times. And Ramesh ji is in between, that also you have to understand. Mr. Mohan Ramesh Anand, Indian Business Chamber, that is at Incham, Vietnam. A very hearty welcome to him. He's a chairman of the Incham 2019-20, popularly known as Mr. Ramesh. He is settled now in Vietnam since 1993. He is noted social worker, philanthropist, and community leader, and an excellent orator. Besides this, Ramesh is a leading businessman in Vietnam. Ramesh ji is a senior member, activist, and a supporter of Indian Business Chamber in Vietnam ever since its inception. Ramesh ji has served Incham in various capacities and was the Incham vice chairman for 2011 and 12 period and chairman for 2013 and 14. What a pleasure to have him from Vietnam. It is the fastest growing economy in the region, and I had a pleasure to have half an hour video chat and a webinar with the deputy in the Vietnamese embassy in India at present from New Delhi just 3 days back. His Excellency ROS Salin, former ASEAN senior official for socio-cultural community Cambodia. Very handsome, very smart, and I asked him and I requested him when we were in the chat room, are you working for some Cambodian movies also? He's so handsome when you will see him. I think he should have an offer. Bollywood can also bring Cambodia together, India, ASEAN. So His Excellency ROS Salin is at present Under Secretary of the State of the Ministry of Industry, Science, Technology and Innovation, and an advisor to the Supreme National Economic Council of Cambodia. Former spokesperson of the Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports. He contributes his thoughts and wisdom among youth for their personal development. As a speaker and researcher, he dedicates himself to helping the youth for the progress, achievement and prospects for future. I extend you a very hearty welcome, and it was such a pleasure to visit Phnom Penh and to go through all the places, universities, colleges, institutions, and next visit, I'm going to visit Angkor Wat also. Mr. Sandeep Majumdar, he is the kingpin, he is the anchor, and basically this is his show. He is the person who is getting all the dignitaries and celebrities together from the ASEAN. He is the president of the Indian Chamber of Commerce, Cambodia. He is chairman and managing director of Purewell International Company Limited. And polite and sophisticated, Mr. Sandeep has an unmatched business sense with strong conviction in ethics and relationship. I vouch for it and I endorse that. Business expansion has a meaning for him only if it is accompanied with value and betterment for his people. So with these words, ladies and gentlemen, right, it happens in the Bollywood, let it happen this evening in a virtual way, and I drop the curtains and get all the celebrities together right over here, and imagine, right, His Excellency, the most handsome person of the evening is right in front over here with us. Hearty welcome to all of you. I request Mr. Sandeep Majumdar ji now kindly take on the further deliberation. And as India has announced new education policy, and this new education policy is going to bring a lot of collaboration and lots of celebrations together between India and ASEAN and rest of the world. Let's give little more focus to education, but other areas also to be taken care of. With these words, Mr. Sandeep Majumdar ji.
Thank you, Dr. Gulshan. First and foremost, I would like to thank ICSI for the splendid work that they are doing. In less than 2 months, ever since they started on 5th of June, it is just over 2 months, and this is the 83rd webinar which they have conducted. We have one more in the evening today. So what a great work done by ICSI team and headed by Dr. Gulshan, Professor Narula and others. I wish them good luck. As Dr. Gulshan said, the efforts that has been put in the education scenario with the new policy in India being announced, we will have this focus not only for this session, but for the time to come for this year as well as in future. I look forward to have Dr. Gulshan and his team again in Cambodia. Maybe now we have our friend Mr. Ramesh from Vietnam. We'll tie up a event in such a way that you can also visit Vietnam. Vietnam, as you mentioned, and we all accept, it is the fastest growing economy in Southeast Asia. Now, today's webinar, I think, will become very exciting because we have a full team of panelists, of motivational speakers and moderators. Dr. Gulshan, whatever you heard is 10% of what he can actually educate, because he needs a place where he can move around. By sitting, he cannot bring out his best. So we will bring him here, and people who are watching him will be pleasantly surprised that he has many more inert qualities inside himself. Anyway, so normally it is said that politicians or ambassadors or chamber heads or corporate heads, they need to be a good speaker, and that's what we hear chamber presidents and all, like Dr. Gulshan and others who are in the panelists today, they are all heading their institutions, associations, corporates. So they have this capability and inner lens of the being a good speaker. So basically, I would first invite His Excellency ROS Salin, who was former spokesman for the Ministry of MOES and a speaker and researcher. He actually, if you see his profile, which Dr. Gulshan just narrated, he is a spokesman and he is a speaker as well. So there is no doubt that he will be an excellent speaker this evening. So Excellency ROS Salin, over to you, because we have a time limit today. 7 o'clock, there's a back-to-back webinar. So I will be short on introduction. So let's hear it out from Excellency ROS Salin.
You hear me?
Absolutely, perfectly fine, perfectly fine.
Hello, you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
So first of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Sandeep for his excellent work, and for the last few days we have kept in touch each other for this webinar. And taking this opportunity, I would like to thank Dr. Gulshan for your generous effort to make this webinar happen. And also I would like to extend my thanks to all speakers today, including Mr. Mohan. You are in Vietnam, the country next to Cambodia, neighboring. So today I'm very passionate and inspired by the topics that the ICSI has proposed on the making education relevant. Because I was a lecturer at university for more than 10 years. My area of expert is the economic science and business management, and that's why this topic made me interested, because beside my lecturing experience, I was also consultant to private company, to embassy, to NGO before I became the government civil servant. So at that time, I'm the last 15 years. So I work mostly with youth, and then with education official, teacher, professor, student, and youth. And lately, I was also senior official of the ASEAN social cultural communities, which cover on education and youth. And for 5 years, I was spokesperson and also in the chess. So all of my work and experience are related to education and youth, in addition to my expertise on economics. So that's why this webinar is very important to share my experience and my thoughts on my behalf for today, not for ministry. So I would like to share what I have been gone through. And today I have many topic or sub-topics in mind. So I would like to take the topics on youth readiness for digital age, the perspectives from educations. As the now if we refer to the economic development trends in our, we can say, digital age, which characterized by the rapid shift from the traditional industry to the industry based on information technology and digital transformations. And most of students that I have met so far, sometimes they still confused about digital transformation, digital economies. It means they just learn about how to use Facebook, you know, how to use YouTube, other apps, and then they consider that these competencies or ability for them to live in digital age and digital transformations. But in fact, the digital transformation in this era, in this age, we focus on the shift from the traditional process of the working process, business model, business operation as a whole, not only app, only Facebook or YouTube they use. So that's why they need to focus more on the whole process, not only on specific tool using in the digital transformations. So digital technology now became prevalent and common use through the world, even developing country like Cambodia. So they need to be more equipped, not only digital skill, but other soft skill in order to go into the professional life. And the world today, led by activity through the globalizations. So industrial revolution from the first, second, third, and fourth. So from the third to fourth is faster than from first to second and to third. Third to fourth is faster than previous three stage. So that's why the the traditional way of doing business will be shifted. The digital transformations will affect the business model and business operations and the existing model that they are working on. So the real economic activity through physical communication will be shifted to digital platform. So consequently, the job description, the job profile will be adjusted with this process. So we have different sides from government side, from school and local government, from student itself, and from the contents of education and training must be developed and revisited and readjusted. So based on the lately I read the report from the ASEAN on education report, because in ASEAN we have ASEAN action plan on education, and we have ASEAN work plan on ICT, and ICT master plan from 2016 to 2020. So based on all reports, especially the report from the yesterday, I read the report of the CDFOP European Skill and Job Survey. They show that the professions, the job who most affected by the changing of the digital transformation in this digital age is ICT profession, electricity and mining, finance, insurance, professional and scientific services, and manufacturing. But other professions who have less impact from the digital transformation are accommodation and catering or food services, social personal services, and construction. So the students, the educator, the education institutions, And the government as a whole, not only ASEAN country and Cambodia, we have done a lot of works in terms of education reform in order to make education more relevant to the social and economic developments. So based on the experience that I have gone so far, we have different three, angle. One is from government. It means the government try to put in place the policy and measures in relation to education reform, to the economic reform, to the national development strategy in order to, first to make economic development more inclusive, make education more relevant to the need of society and students. And then from the perspective of the student and teacher or instructors, we have some kind of gap from what the government, what the institution try to put in place the policy measures, and the practitioners and the actor who provide contents, these contents, educational contents to students. So I would like to present three angles from the youth perspective, from the school and teachers, and content or curriculums. You know that in this digital age, in this digital economy context, the skill, we can say the 21st century skill needed for youth, mainly focus on first, beside their technical skill for life, first in business skill. So they need to beside or in addition to business skill or technical skill that they have received or equipped so far, they need to have technological skill. It's skill on using technology, or those youth and students are being able to identify how digital technology can create new business opportunity for them, for the youth, for the next generations, or how to use their skill and technology, to put in place in new business model, or how they upgrade or develop the way that they do business through the traditional ways. First. Second, digital specialist skill. We need to use the student who well equipped with the skill that can, develop, design, produce, install, manage ICT software and other system and digital transformation process. And most of the students, not only in Cambodia but in Asian country, less students try to study in digital field or ICT field. Mostly they like to learn social science. For example, of the case of Cambodia, less than 10% the student at university, they graduate from ICT or digital field, less than 10%. But the trend of the social and economic trend in the era of digital economy, ICT, digital specialists and skill more and more needed for the corporation or doing their business. Third, digital user skill. Even those youth or students did not register at university in the field of ICT or digital, but they register to study in other fields like accounting, marketing, or other field, non-digital field. And they need to equip, or they need to learn how to use the tools or system or device to support their daily tasks. I would give example like accountants. Accountant today, their daily task not only preparing journal or book or financial records, but they need to equip the ICT or digital skills. Not a specialist, but at least they can like do e-filing or process the tax paying through digital, for example. So in addition to e-business skill, digital specialist skill, they pursue their study in other social science, but they need to understand, to know the ecosystem, to understand the way of doing business in digital era. It means that even they cannot, design or producing apps or software, but they learn how to use it effectively. So these are the three skills that youth need for the 21st century. And if we refer to the report of World Bank in 2018, and all Asian countries, the student graduate from school, from university, and the student they going to the professional lives, the most skill needed for today and future are software development, ICT project management, enterprise architecture design, network and system administration, information system, network security, coding, cyber security. These are the field that the company, the corporation more need for the future. So in terms of skill development, from the perspective of the government, from the perspective of the educational institution, for the perspective of the student, they must understand this process and model. And if you look back to the education, if you look back to the 19th century, the education at primary, secondary level, mostly we educate the students to prepare for the manual and clerical work. And for the 20th century, we prepare education focused on training for a good factory worker, for a good manager, that we follow the principle of Taylorism, production by chains example. But for the 21st century, for the digital age, you need to have the education system that can provide everyone with access to lifelong learning, not only their technical skill for life, but soft skill and digital literacy. And to prepare this platform mechanism for the lifelong learning. So in this context, I would refer to the digital education for youth, how to make it more relevant. First, we have in the in the regional platform like ASEAN. We have ASEAN Action Plan on Education. We have Malaysian Declaration on Higher Education. We have ICT Master Plan for ASEAN, and we have action line for education that implementing through 10 countries in ASEAN. But these are the kinds of initiative and policy to lead the policy of each country and with their own context, Like developing country, we need to revisit the curriculum. We need to revisit the method of teaching. We need to revisit the teacher vocational or teacher training approach. We need to revisit the student assessments. So in terms of digital educations, mostly we focus on how to create a platform, how to prepare the contents, and how to prepare the system in order to deliver the educational content to students.
Excellency, sorry I'm interfering. You have 2 minutes more. I think we'll have time for the other speakers as well. So
Okay,
wrap up in 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. So let's try to do this model as today, but digital education not only to prepare or to create platform, content, and system. We need to first to revisit the curriculum. The curriculum that we have been prepared so far is out of date. We need to prepare from primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary, and into higher education to revisit the curriculum again. The part that are not relevant to the society, to the digital age, or to the context of country culture, we need to adjust, to revise, to add some relevant content to the curriculum, and we need to invest on the infrastructure of the digital education, the system, and more important, on the teacher capacity, and also the educational administration in order to administrate the delivery of education contents. And the last point that I would make here, the perspective from youth themselves for upgrade their skill. I have 4 options for them. First, at school. At school, the student mostly from lower, upper secondary, and higher education, they need to develop and enhance the cognitive skill through developing their capability in reasoning and creative thinking through increasing their reading habits, increasing their research activity, doing more analyzing on data and fact, doing more on problem solving, and increasing their mental speed, because in today context, you need the mental speed to address all problems at school level. Second, in community, the youth and students need to prepare themselves to be more open to new experience and to the new world. And they must practice more for the emotional stability, because in the digital age, a lot of things will come. We are all living in ICT or many devices, so a lot of issues coming out, and they must be strong and wise in their decision making, must be inclusive, must be effective, must be more rapid. Third, the skill for life. Now the youth must have at least one skill for their life. First, like engineer, economist, dentist, or IT specialist, accountant, etc. And in case that they have ICT skill, they need to have more, you can say, sub-skill to equip, like if they have ICT skill or digital skill, they need to have soft skill. In case they have one technical skill, they have to have another one soft skill or digital skills. So first they have to need at least one skill and then add with another soft skill and digital literacy. Fourth, youth today must be more active, joining the teamwork, creativity, or some, startup incubation or smart SME or more teamwork to open their, mindset to get more, experience and knowledge from the world. So I would stop here because of time limited. So thank you very much, Mr. Sandeep and Dr. Kashan.
Thank you, Excellency ROS Salin. Ministry of Education has always been very kind and supportive to all the INCHAM events. Dr. Narung, Excellency Minister of State, has come to our events as chief guest. Secretary of State has been our chief guest when Dr. Gulshan was here in Cambodia. My very good friend, Dr. Samedi, who introduced me to you, has been our chief guest in the events. And I look forward to have you also in the upcoming events of Indian Chamber of Commerce. You have prepared yourself well, very informative. I would look forward to hear you again in one of our events. And thank you so much for your speech and your. Okay, we be here with us for the other speakers. As in this time of COVID, we are not traveling much from one country to the other. So rather than going to Vietnam, I would rather wrap up with Cambodia first and then visit. Even the webinar transit would be made lesser. So I am requesting my dear friend Rami Sharaf, whom I did not request to join the seminar. I just told him I have a webinar on Sunday and you need to be a speaker. I did not even take his permission. So sorry for that, Rami, because I know you will not say no to me. So I did not take your permission. I requested you to join. Over to Rami Sharif. Rami doesn't need any introduction here. He represents one of the biggest conglomerates of this country. Like we have Tata, Birlas, and Ambani's in India. Royal Group is one of the biggest conglomerate in this country. Rami is the senior vice president there. He has been into pharmaceuticals. He has been selling cars, all the luxury cars, and now he is into everything. So Rami, over to you. And speakers, you don't need to introduce yourself because Dr. Gulshan has already done that. Let's come to the, Rami will be speaking more on India, Cambodia investment directly, and Cambodia and ASEAN in general. So Rami, it's over to you.
Thank you, Sandeep, and thanks Dr. Gulshan for this opportunity for me to join the webinar. I just want to add a couple of points to His Excellency's speech from the perspective of the employer. And since the topic of our webinar is the relevance of education, I think us as employers, we are the ones sensing the gap, and we are the ones who really need to play a more proactive role when it comes to this setting the ecosystem of education. And we should give our input for what is needed in the business community and among the corporates in Cambodia and in ASEAN too. And another point where I feel that we can and we should work together when it comes to ASEAN as ASEAN, and it's the old rule of starting where others ended. We know that there are gaps between the countries and at what phase each country is. We have Cambodia, we have Singapore, we have pooling all the experiences of the other countries that had been there and that developed their educational ecosystem to where it is now, I think that can be a great add-on and a great tool to use. When it comes to bridging between theory and practice, I believe there is a wonderful tool that we in the corporate sector, and I'm sure you, Sandeep, agree with me, we have a wonderful tool when it comes to the internship programs. I'm serving as a member of the Board of Trustees of the American University Phnom Penh, and this is something we emphasize on, and also in Royal Group, we always have our doors open for the students to come and practice and be there in the internship programs, because this is where we connect the theory to practice and where we bring that bridging between academia and corporate. Now, a couple of points related to what role India can play when it comes to the educational system, not only in Cambodia, but in ASEAN. When I visited India and I was the guest of Dr. Gulshan, and we had been into his center, we sensed how important it was putting all levels of education and all together, and also spotlighting specifically on the vocational education, because ICT is there, of course, digital is there, but with what our countries are going through when it comes to development, when it comes to construction, when it comes to infrastructure, vocational training is surely a huge gap that we need to bridge. And lately, Samdak Prime Minister Hun Sen emphasized on that, and he said we need to bridge that gap, and we need to have our bank of very qualified, well-trained workers and employees in the different sectors in the economy. So back to the point of what India can do. I had the opportunity of meeting the representatives of the Indian Exim Bank who visited Cambodia, and of course you know that, Sandeep, and with Her Excellency the Ambassador, we had a couple of meetings, and the two sectors that were, I can say, shining and were on top of the list of priorities of the Indian Exim Bank, it was education and health. Excellency, if you can mute your line.
Excellency, you have to mute your phone.
Yeah, his Facebook, because that is always lagging behind us, so it's going on. Yeah.
So back to the point of coordination with the Indian Exim Bank when the team was visiting Cambodia. So the two sectors that were on top of the priorities, and this was after a lengthy research and field studies, it was #1 education and then followed by health. And in these two sectors, India is surely a leader when it comes to these two sectors. And since the topic of our webinar today is education, then it comes to all the opportunities and all the planned projects that could be joint projects that could be run when we have that strategic decision made. A couple of thoughts, couple of ideas. I mean, example, we can have a twinning program between Cambodian institutions and educational institutions and Indian institutions, where we have the exchange of not only students, but also of faculty members who can be visiting and can be contributing, especially in the areas and sectors that Cambodia today needs. And His Excellency mentioned a good number of those. The second one, and this one I can say we practice it in the American University Phnom Penh, which is the dual programs or dual degrees. In the American University Phnom Penh, we have the dual program with Arizona State University, where the student can have 2 years in Phnom Penh, 2 years in Arizona, and then he graduates with dual degree. So if we can plan some of these dual degrees between Cambodian universities and leading Indian universities, this can be a great platform that can reflect the cooperation between the two countries, and that can reflect this political harmony between the two countries into joint actions and joint programs, especially in the area of education. The third one is the I can say building and helping in building and reforming the educational system in Cambodia. We know that in India, a couple of years back, there was an intensive program of reforming the education, and there were tailor-made programs to empower and to develop the level of the teachers and everyone who's into the academic and into the educational arena. So since these programs are there and since they were executed in India all over, this can also be part of the programs that we can have jointly between Cambodia and India. Now, this is when it comes to the basic education. Now, if I can come to the other area, which is the corporate education. India had, I mean, long years of experience in improving and in equipping the corporate sector with the right tools, with the right courses, with the right competences, with the right programs that can reflect on improving and I can say sophisticating the corporate sector in different areas. So if we can, and now in this era of COVID, where even the domestic education is virtual, so people are getting more used now to the e-learning, and we can utilize this acceptance of e-learning where we can set these programs and utilize all the digital tools that we have here. I always use this slogan, and it may sound funny, but one day it came to my mind. I always say we need a gap to bridge the gap. And the second gap is the gap we know. And the first gap is G goes for government, and A goes for aid agencies that always have on their agendas these strategic needs of country by country. And P goes for proactive private sector, where the proactive private sector, as I said, should have a say and should play a role when it comes to reforming the educational system, and when it comes to bridging academia to practice, bridging academia to what we need when it comes to putting all the puzzle pieces together in order to set an eco-educational system that will be the best and the most needed when it comes to corporate and business community, not only in Cambodia, but also in ASEAN. These were some of the thoughts I have. And as I said, what is valid on education can also be valid on health when it comes to telemedicine, when it comes to referral, when it comes to joint research, when it comes to pharmaceuticals, when it comes to schools of medicine and exchange of doctors, exchange of students. So all what I said about the education sector can also be implemented in the health sector. So I think these are some points that could be a good food for thought. And I hope that after this webinar, we can think of forming a task force that can bring some of the points that we discussed from theory to action. And we hope that together, both India and Cambodia, and with the blessing of the prime ministers in both countries, we can also have the government support and we can take those into execution. Thank you so much for giving me this chance, and I hope that we can take it ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Rami Sharaf. It was absolutely my pleasure, and I hope ICSI as well. The group that Rami is representing as a senior vice president is into practically everything, from banks to real estate to hotels to insurance, renewable energy to limousine
We have
service.
2 schools. We are in education
I'm coming
too.
to that. Yes, I'm coming to that. Microfinances and 2 international schools. So
Exactly.
they are already in the education sector, Northbridge and Southbridge. It's a huge campus. Anybody traveling to Cambodia, when you land from the airport, maybe half a kilometers, you'll find this huge Northbridge school. So now, since your institution is already into that, and you mentioned that, Rami, in your speech, in your presentation, that and Dr. Gulshan, as you know him well, he also used to run his own university. So we have the talent, and we have a company which probably is already half into it. So Dr. Gulshan, also I would request that as and when anybody is interested to bring it up a university in Cambodia. India, as we know, is an educational hub of Asia, and our good friend Rami is there. He is the one who takes up all the leads in this company as for all international business startups and everything. So we will I will personally keep in touch with Rami. And Rami, as he mentioned in his last sentences, that he doesn't want that we talk. After that, he works on a timeline. So it is very good to have you, Rami, and we will probably talk about education and many more things as we come. Thank you again, Rami. My next speaker would be Mr. Mr. Mohan Ramesh Anand. As Mr. Ramesh is based in Vietnam, as he said, and we share common countries of work. He's also into pharmaceuticals, and he's also into many different fields like what I am into. So it is a pleasure to have you in this webinar, Mr. Ramesh, and he will be speaking on Vietnam, in particular, India-Vietnam partnership, and in ASEAN in general. Over to you, Mr. Ramesh.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thanks. Very good evening to you all. Distinguished dignitaries, guests, fellow guest speakers, ladies and gentlemen. On this today webinar, I am thankful for the opportunity given by the ICS International Chamber of Service and Industry, Dr. Gulshan Sharma and Mr. Sandeep Majumdar, to address you all on behalf of my Indian Business Chamber in Vietnam.
Can I make a request? Can we increase the volume a little bit, because people are finding it difficult? Can the volume be increased a bit? Volume?
Yeah.
Is it possible?
Yeah. So I will just briefly introduce my chamber and about the trade relation between ASEAN and India, Vietnam. And also I will highlight about the investment opportunities in education in Vietnam. I hope the volume is better now.
It's much better, much better. But If you can
Dr.
further
Gulshan,
increase it, nothing
the
like
what
that.
is much okay.
Yeah, it's much better. But we are always hungry for the volume.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand, but I think this is the maximum I can
Now
do.
better. Now it is okay.
It's fine. Now it's fine.
This is the maximum.
Mm.
It's fine. Okay. So actually, yeah, let me introduce. INCHAM started in 1999. It's a non-profit organization established with the objective of strengthening the ties of Indian business with Vietnamese authorities for promoting economic and business relations between Vietnam and India. India-ASEAN trade and investment relations have been growing steadily, with ASEAN being India's fourth largest trading partner. India trade for merchandise exports to ASEAN economies are in the tune of around 88 billion and imports at 59 billion and total trade at 97 billion in 2018 and 19. Going ahead, there were huge trade and investment opportunities for enhancing India-ASEAN cooperation in sectors such as real estate, infrastructure and fintech, culture and tourism, IT, ITS and e-commerce, education and skill development, healthcare, cosmetics and pharmaceuticals, and agriculture and food processing, automobile manufacturing, among others. The bilateral trade with Vietnam and India for 2019 was close to US $14 billion, and this target to reach US $15 billion by 2020-21. Indian investments in Vietnam also expect to increase substantially in the coming years. Indian Business Chamber in Vietnam acts as a catalyst to promote India-Vietnam trade and a cultural exchange. We work well with governments of both countries to take up various activities to further the business. With today's topic education, Vietnam has many opportunities in this sector. Vietnam education sectors remains attractive for foreign investors as the government attempts to ease regulations. Vietnam has become a growing destination for foreign investments in Southeast Asia. The demand for high quality education is reaching new heights, proving favorable opportunity for foreign investors looking to enter the market, and expected to ease regulations allowing foreign funded schools to enroll more students. Nevertheless, investment in education remains challenging. Investors therefore should carefully study the country's regulatory environment when considering options for the market entry. Vietnam young population and the government's commitment to improving education offer opportunities for investments. Since 2000, the government has committed approximately 15% to 20% of public expenditure on education, one of the highest in ASEAN. Vietnam's local rising middle class prefers the private education sectors over the public school method due to the better quality of services. This has translated into a strong market for private institutions and vocational schools and services. Underlying the demand for education in Vietnam is a rapidly emerging middle class. The report that Vietnam has the fastest growing middle class in Southeast Asia. The report projected the middle and affluent classes in Vietnam to double its size between 2014 and 2020 from 12 million to 33 million. On top of incomes and confidence feature, Vietnam demographics also stand to have a positive impact on the education market. Nearly 60% of Vietnam's population of nearly 90 million is under 35 years of age, with more disposable income than in the years prior. Young Vietnamese, with the support of their parents, are eager to obtain the skills and knowledge which meet the ever-increasing demands of the labor market. As investment in children education is given increased priority, the demand for sending children to an international learning environment for a higher quality of education is on the rise, making the market more attractive to step into Vietnam is facing major skill gaps and local qualifications in many fields are not well acknowledged. International qualifications are therefore seen as a valuable advantage in some fields. They are almost essentials. Government support initiatives in addition for the rising demand for the international education providers. Investors can also find the new opportunities offered by the government, especially after the country's participation in WTO. Education remains a national priority for the government, as it believes it will determine the economic success of the country. The government is also working on improving access to schools and improving the quality of education in Vietnam. Actually, there are also a lot of exchange programs been, exchanged between our government of India as well as Vietnam. There is a program called ITEC, which is funded by government of India, Indian Technical and Economic Corporations. Where this exchange program, there are a lot of Vietnamese youngsters who come to learn some skillful training program in India. I think has helped a lot of Vietnamese to gain certain knowledge in their respective fields. I think there can be more such cooperations can be exchanged among ASEAN with India to support the education. I hope today, with many guests and business attorneys, this webinar, they realize the potentials in many areas of trade, investment in India, ASEAN, Vietnam, and the cooperation between two countries will continue, grow, and move forward. INCHAM will always support and cooperate in the development of Vietnam-India relationship and will play an active role in contributing towards the growth in trade, investment, and other relations. Thank you for your kind attention. I wish you all the best, a lot of success in this webinar. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Ramesh. Thank you. And Dr. Gulshan, I think you would be happy to hear him very clearly stating that Mr. Ramesh and INCHAM will be there to support any investment, any new business that can be brought into Vietnam. He is already doing that as an INCHAM president, as INCHAM chairman, and whatever new avenues can come in. Mr. Ramesh, I also would like to suggest if you can help out with bringing in more educational institutions into Vietnam. And we do have those aptechs and all, which is doing extremely well.
Sandeep, sure, definitely, yeah, definitely.
They have about 100. I remember the gentleman who is heading that before was also Mr. Ramesh only from aptech. And when he started, and now it is more than 100
correct.
Right? So that is one success story that we
franchise have. Yeah, 100 franchise they have.
So right. Maybe we can discuss with Dr. Gulshan sometimes together, and we can promote, because India already has a good name after aptech has established itself well. So we will see how to collaborate together on this. So over to you, Dr. Gulshan. I thank, before passing on to Dr. Gulshan again, I thank all the speakers, Excellency ROS Salin, Mohan Ramesh Anand, Mr. Rami Sharaf, and Dr. Gulshan as usual. So over to my very young 20-year-old brother with a 70-year-old heart, Mr. Dr. Gulshan Sharma. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Majumdar ji. Yet another wonderful evening where we can have the collaboration between India and ASEAN. I am grateful to His Excellency ROS Salin and Rami ji, old friend. And today we found the new friend from Vietnam also, Mohan ji. I'm so grateful to all of them. Thank you very much for joining this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for being a part of the program today. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you very much. And let's take the agenda forward. And what the businessman talks, particularly the vice president, he says, talking is one thing, let's turn into action now. And what a definition he has given. I have noted it down. G for the government, A for the agent, and P for the proactive. So let's get into the proactive mood now. Thank you very much, all of us. Very kind of you. And thank you, Majumdar sir. Great evening to all of you. And I go for the another webinar now. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. And we
Thank
look
you.
forward
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.